Post the fucking content. It's 2025. Without a doubt, I've had hundreds, if not thousands, of conversations with entrepreneurs or aspiring entrepreneurs over the years. And the fear of judgment, the opinions of others, it's the biggest obstacle for people to overcome. It's not even fucking close. A lot of people think it's the fear of failure, and it's not the fear of failure. It's the fear of judgment from somebody if they do fail. That's what paralyzes so many people. It is the biggest problem my audience faces. My audience has two problems: fear of judgment and how to create content. Those are two types of content that I create all the time. Fear of judgment, opinions of others. I probably make 3 to 5 posts about it a week on social media, reference it somewhere in an email, here on the YouTubes, but it's the biggest thing holding people back. And it's typically from their mom, their dad, their brother, their sister, their aunt, their uncle, their grandma, their grandpa, their boss, their neighbor, their coworker, or some motherfucker they went to high school with 17 plus years ago. And the reality is, these people that you're so concerned about, you're so worried about, they're not watching you nearly as close as you think. I promise you that. They don't give a shit. And what's really weird, it's kind of like the Matrix. They don't care what you're doing because they're so worried about what other people think of them. They're too consumed by that. It's like a dog chasing its own tail. It's why the rise of faceless content on social media has risen over the last 18, 24 months. All these faceless brands. And it's because everybody's scared of judgment. They're terrified of it. They're worried about the opinions of people that don't matter. And I get it. I was like that for years. And I still struggle with it, so I'm not saying I've mastered it or anything. My mom is probably the biggest, that my mom is. If I share something on Facebook, I'm like, oh shit, what is my mom gonna say? Is she gonna DM me and say, blah, 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 don't say that, or whatever, So I totally get it. And I jumped on TikTok back during the pandemic. And a lot of people jumped on it during the pandemic. And I really enjoyed it because nobody in real life knew who I was. And I think that's why a lot of people jumped on it, because it was a newer platform. And I remember I did well. I had a couple videos that got millions and millions of views. And I remember I had got like 8 or 10 DMs over on Facebook from people that I knew. Some in real life, some not in real life. And they're like, hey man, I saw you on TikTok. Hey, I follow you on TikTok. And I'm like, oh shit, you know about TikTok, And I almost started watering down my message a little bit, foolishly, because real life people knew me or they were following me over on TikTok. But here's the thing I've learned. One of it's from that. People would DM me and they would comment. I had a couple of high school buddies. When I say high school buddies, I mean I was friends with them in high school. We don't keep connected now. We're connected on Facebook, yes. But I had a couple high school buddies reach out to me and they're like, hey man, I see what you're doing on TikTok. I love it. I'm interested. Could you help me out? And they started asking for help. And I ended up picking up a couple of people I went to high school with became coaching clients of mine because they wanted help doing what I did. And it was like, holy shit, there's people I know in real life that like what I'm doing and they want to learn more. Heck, I just had a guy, Mark. We went to high school together 25 years ago. He hit me up in the DMs the other day on Facebook and he's like, hey man, I see you selling these PDFs. I see you're crushing it. I'd love to hop on a call. I think he said hop on a call, or I'd love to pick your brain or something like that, because I'd love to do the same thing. Him and I probably haven't talked, I ain't kidding, 25 years since high school. But since we're connected on Facebook, he saw what I was doing and he reached out and asked me, So it's funny because I've spoken with so many people over the years, and a lot of it is their high school friends, people they went to high school with. Whether they were friends or not, it doesn't really matter. But that's the thing that holds a lot of people back is high school people. A lot of it's their mom or dad, but a lot of it's high school people. And then I'll ask them, I said, is there anyone in particular? And some will be like, yeah, there's a few people in mind, or no one in particular. But when they say, yeah, there's a few people in mind, I'll be like, when's the last time you talked to them? And they're like, oh gosh, it might be since high school. It was 8 years ago. It was 13 years ago. Shoot, it was 20 years ago. And I was like, why do you care about what they think? And they kind of, not all the time, they'll have this light bulb moment like, oh yeah, they're not a part of my life. So that's what I find to be the case. It's all up here. It's all up here. And another way I look at it is my fear of judgment, my opinions of others, is getting in the way of me serving my audience, helping people. You know, I quit alcohol a little over 5 years ago, and I'm open about that, and I talk about that. And when I post it on social media, especially Facebook, I get people reaching out to me and asking for tips or tricks. You know, I got a buddy that I actually went to high school with, and he reached out to me a couple years ago. And when I made a post on Facebook celebrating like my 2 or 3 year anniversary, and he reached out to me. We had a conversation. We actually got on the phone call. And he was telling me he was buying like a 6-pack and drinking it on the way home. And now, every Labor Day weekend, he sends me a picture of his chip. I think he's 2.5 years sober now. You know, now he doesn't credit it to me, and I'm not taking credit for it. But I inspired him by sharing a vulnerable moment. Somebody I went to high school with, someone who I haven't talked to in probably 10 or 15 years since I left Michigan. You know, and so that made me realize, like, damn, my story can impact strangers, but my story can also impact people that I've known in my past, whether it's family, whether it's friends, whether it's high school buddies, you know. And I thought, that's powerful, you know. I used to train jiu-jitsu out here in Vegas. You know, I remember the one guy, Matt, used to tell everybody in jiu-jitsu, follow this Adam guy on Instagram, man, he will motivate the shit out of you. You know, and I was kind of embarrassed by it, like, oh no, I don't want real life people to follow me. And then people started following me, and then I'd go back to jiu-jitsu and they'd be like, dude, I love that Instagram reel that you made about XYZ. Man, you've really fired me up to chase my dreams. And then I was like, man, I have this gift to inspire and motivate people. And it doesn't just have to be used for strangers. It can be used for people that I know, whether it's real life or maybe people I've connected with online over the years. So that fear of judgment, the opinions of others, like I said, they're not watching you as closely as you think they are. And how I look at it, this is how I look at it. It's a mindset hack that I made years ago, and it's really, really helped me. I'm being selfish. I'm being selfish. I have a story, I have a message that I can share that can help people out there. And I'm being selfish because I'm worried about my feelings. I'm putting my feelings above serving others. You know, and I can share my story and motivate and inspire and teach and get people to take an action or do something or live a better life or whatever it is. It's not just about selling PDFs. You know, I want you guys and gals watching want to improve your life overall. It's why I do this while walking. It's why I do this with like a weighted vest for inspiration. I have people asking me, hey, where'd you get that vest? And they ask me about it. You know, so it's not just, I don't want to be just known for selling PDFs. You know, I want you to be a better person, a better human being, you know. So that's my take on the whole fear of judgment, opinions of others. You have a gift, you have a story, you have a message that could impact hundreds, possibly thousands, possibly millions. I mean, my content's been seen by millions of people over the years, you know. That's pretty fucking cool, you know. And I could be sitting in my mom's basement going, I don't want to make a video, or I don't want to create a post because I'm scared what Steve, who I had 9th grade chemistry class with back in 1997, is going to think about me. Fuck Steve. I don't care what Steve thinks. You know, I have a message to share. I have a story to share and that could inspire and motivate people to make a change. You know, so if Steve thinks I'm weird because of that, or Sally Sue that I had driver's ed with thinks I'm whatever. Oh, he's trying to be the next Tony Robbins, or whatever their thoughts are. I could give two shits about Steve and Sally Sue. I have people to help, you know, so that's how I look at it. I'm being selfish. Maybe you can look at it the same way, that you're being selfish by letting your feelings get in the way of serving fellow human beings, whether they're total strangers on the internet or whether they're people that you know, that you've met in real life, whether that's friends, whether that's family, whatever it is. So that's my take on fear of judgment. The people aren't watching you as closely as you think they are. You have a message to share. You have a story to share. It matters. If you want to share it, I'm not saying you have to share it, but if you want to share it, get it out there. And I think you'll be pleasantly surprised on the impact that you can have on others. Again, whether it's total strangers or people you know in real life, you know, and once you start seeing people in real life reaching out, thanking you, asking for help, you realize, oh my gosh, this feels good. It's kind of like peeling an onion back. You know, layer by layer, you put out a post and you get one DM, or maybe a comment on social media from Sally Sue from 10 years ago, and she thanks you, you know, and then all of a sudden you get a couple of comments, then all of a sudden you get a DM, then all of a sudden you get someone that wants to pay you for something, people that you know, and you realize, oh my gosh, these people aren't judging me. You know, maybe some people are, sure, but you can't control that. But you realize my message does matter, my story does matter. And again, it's kind of peeling that layer back, it's peeling that layer back. I'm feeling good. I'm gonna start sharing more of my story. I'm gonna get a little bit more vulnerable. I'm gonna get a little bit more real. I'm gonna get a little bit more honest about my story, you know, because it's impacting people. So that's my take on it. Those people aren't watching you. Go share your story. And again, maybe it's a little bit of your story. Maybe it's not super vulnerable because it's a little easier. And you kind of build up a muscle and then you realize, shit, this ain't that bad. So anyways, I'm gonna wrap this up. If you have comments, questions, concerns about earning a living selling PDFs, drop them down below. Also hit that subscribe button because I do daily videos Monday through Friday, each and every day, where I call it real, raw, ramble style content, where I come up with a topic, a thought, an idea, an opinion, a perspective, a philosophy of mine, and I just record a video for 5 to 15 minutes ranting on it. So anyways, thank you for watching. I do appreciate it.